Doing nothing. How many of us can say we've done nothing for no outside purpose in the past month? Or maybe even the past year. The power of nothing is heavily overlooked. And that's because most people are incapable of doing it in our present reality. This is when the masses watching this video start to complain and say, Cole, what are you talking about, man? All I do is nothing. I'm on my phone all day. You should be telling me to do more. Why am I watching this video? That is not the type of nothing I'm talking about. I mean literally doing nothing. Being on your phone is still doing something. Listening to a podcast is still doing something. I mean laying or sitting down somewhere and just simply existing. The intention doesn't have to be that you're going to meditate, although that naturally happens when you do nothing. You just need to be fully complete and content with presentness. And I'm sure that most people watching this video find extreme struggle in trying to do that, and I recently realized that I'm one of them. This past week, for the first time in about 2 years, I was sick, like sick. I had a pretty bad fever, a sore throat, and I was debilitated. As a result, I couldn't do most of the things that I try to do on a daily basis, like go outside, work out, or do a lot of work on my computer. Now, in my mind, I had always thought that if there came a time where I had to stop doing all of this stuff that I've been doing for so long for a little while, I could do it and I'd be totally fine with it. But to be honest, this week was one of the hardest for me physically and mentally that I've had in a very long time. Not only because I felt like absolute shit, but because I struggled so hard with the fact that I should not be working on myself as much during this time. And yet even still, I was trying to do as much work as I possibly could. And I really didn't internalize this until yesterday when I was still a little sick, but I was coming back to feeling natural. It was day 6 and it was getting to the point where I was extremely frustrated that I still could not do shit even after 6 days of trying to heal myself. I was on the verge of a mental breakdown as I was sitting up on my couch. And just before I was about to lose it, I allowed myself to lay down and just do nothing. And I wrote down everything that I had come to realize in my journal, and I want to share some of those things with you guys. I put an outrageous amount of pressure on myself to perform and be at my very best at all times. And for the most part, that's good and that's important because that type of pressure pushing myself has allowed me to get to the point where I'm at today. But I've definitely taken it too far, and that has completely skewed my values. This week, I've been forced to come face to face with what I actually value my self-worth upon. And I've realized that many of the things that I place my worthiness on are ego-driven and materialistic, like my body. I can't work out right now. I'm losing weight. I'm losing muscle. I feel worse about myself with less muscle. I've always been unable to go past a bathroom mirror without lifting up my shirt and checking on my abs to see if they look okay. Like, that's not normal human behavior. And not being able to work as much. My life's meaning is derived from these things. I feel like I have to care about these things, and I want to because it's what everyone else will care about when they value me. So what's gonna happen if I have to stop doing these things completely, or I lose all these things? If your self-worth is based on what you've done, your appearance, your status, and how much work you've done in a day, do you really have high self-worth? Is basing your worth on these things any better than basing your worth on how many people like you or whether you're in a relationship or not? I thought I had gotten my true self-worth back after getting dumped last year, and I realized that I can't base my self-worth on anything external from me, but it feels like I've just transferred the self-worth in a different external way, in the wrong way. And it was in that moment of realization that I knew I had to be okay with doing completely nothing if I wanted to have true high self-worth. Because one day I might lose it all. I might lose my ability to walk or lift weights, and YouTube and social media could not be a thing. So right now, I want to look inward and I want to ask myself, if I was forced to do nothing for an entire year, or maybe for the rest of my life, could I do it? I was totally convinced that I could. I've talked about this concept in other videos, how you need to be okay with sitting alone with yourself for a long period of time. But the thing is, it was when I voluntarily did nothing for a short period of time, that's when I was okay with it. But when I was forced to, and for a longer time than usual, this entire past week, my mentality collapsed. I think before you decide to start your journey towards success or making a name for yourself, you have to ask yourself this question that I just did, or you'll be like me and get so lost in the external things like the numbers, the amount of likes, the length of your lats. And you can really only figure that out and be content with it. Be content with, even if you were to lose all that success, in the nothingness. As we start to put more and more of our emphasis on things and stuff, we forget about the importance of nothing. It is in the nothing that everything comes into being. And it is in those times when you're doing absolutely nothing other than just being that you truly get to know yourself. And you truly get to love yourself and be okay with being with yourself. Every great idea, invention, or thought started from nothing. Almost all of the novel, innovative ideas I've had haven't come from another video, person, or thing I'm doing. They've come in times of nothing. When I'm in the shower, when I'm sitting down not using my phone, and when I'm walking. A lot of people always ask me what made me want to start my YouTube channel and specifically gear it towards helping people. This is a story that I'll never forget. One day, sophomore year of college, I was walking from my dorm to my first class of the day. I hadn't been thinking of anything in particular, I was just walking. And suddenly, I had this aha moment. Out of nothing and nowhere, something inside me told me, hey, you should start a YouTube channel and make videos. Self-help videos. The next day, I bought the equipment I needed, downloaded the editing software, and started this channel. The idea of this entire channel came from nothing. Sometimes it feels as though we need some sort of inspiration for that next great idea or to finally start taking action towards something. We think that we can find what we're searching for in this life through action, but maybe you just need a little bit of nothing. And sometimes the nothing is more beautiful than the actual thing. The empty space between each thing that exists in our reality. Have you ever once given yourself permission to pay attention to it? I bet you haven't, because it's not what our brains are attuned to. Our brains are like a scanner, constantly searching for things in our environment that could pose a threat to our safety. The brain has no need to focus on the nothing, but every once in a while, you need to turn this part of your brain off. And when you do, something magical starts to happen. Not only do you finally start to become okay with yourself and increase your true self-worth, but the illusion of separation starts to dissipate. It is the emptiness, the nothingness, that the mirage that we are all separate is created, and we believe it. But if you were to zoom out to the end of the Earth's atmosphere, you'd see one Earth, and none of us separate from one another. We'd all just be one Earth. Depending on how much you magnify a certain thing, you can make it look separate from other things thanks to the nothingness surrounding it. If we magnify into ourselves enough, you can actually see that you're mostly empty space. But we don't consider ourselves separate from ourselves, even with all that nothingness. And that's exactly how you should be thinking about everything else that you see out in front of you. We are nothing and everything at the same time, and that's pretty beautiful. That's the power of nothing. So the next time you're bored and have the urge to pull out your phone, read a book, or listen to a podcast, try nothing instead. You'll be surprised with what you might find. Thank you to all the patrons on this channel on Patreon. If you don't know what this is, it's a platform separate from YouTube. I'm putting out exclusive videos and podcasts. You can check that out using the link in the description, or this thing that you're seeing on screen right now. You can click it and head over to Patreon. But that's it for this video, and thank you guys so much for watching this. I wanted to be vulnerable and open up about what's been going on in the past week. You guys know I like doing that. That's it. You guys know too much about me, but it's too late already because I've exposed myself too many times.